Hey guys, welcome back to Selenium with Java January 2024 batch online training session 9. In today's session, I will cover the remaining important topics from TestNG framework like how to include and exclude groups during execution in TestNG, how to execute only failed test cases without listener and with listeners, what is TestNG parameterization, how we can use DataProvider in TestNG, what is listener in TestNG, and how we can do parallel test execution in Selenium WebDriver with the help of TestNG. So what is group? So group in TestNG denotes the process of grouping different test case or test method together into a straightforward group and running this test or method together by just running the group in a single command through this test or method are belonging to a different classes. That means I already told right in the last session of TestNG that grouping is one of the important feature of TestNG. Just a minute. So grouping means suppose say you are having 100 test cases. So out of which, right, you can segregate the test cases, couple of them for functional testing, couple for smoke testing, couple for UAT, couple for integration testing, couple of them for end-to-end testing. So you can segregate them. But every time it is not required to execute all the test cases again and again. But you need to require a subset of test case based on a requirement. So what is the best approach to do this thing? Whatever 100, 200, 500, 1000 test case you are designing, you need to group them. You need to categorize every test case in a group. So one test case can be in multiple group as well at the same time. Once the grouping is done, then based on my requirement, based on my testing need, I can execute the test cases or the method based on my group. So that is the way grouping once done, and then I can do the execution from the testng.xml file. Grouping test is another very good feature of TestNG, using which user can create group of test method. User can create a group of test method based on the functionality and features, or based on the modules, or based on the testing type like functional testing, regression testing, mock testing, etc. This way user can differentiate specific group test method from all the test method. Sometimes I can segregate the test cases between different functionality, different between like between application. So in case, right, suppose say my 10 application is there in the whole project, but in case my application A is getting impacted, so I don't want to execute like any kind of test cases related to application B, C, D like that. So once I have grouped the test cases based on the testing type, based on the application, based on the functionality, based on the different category, and I can filter out that test cases based on my relevant requirement, and automatically those filtered test cases will be executed instead of running all them again and again. That is the way within couple of execution I can get my desired outcome, and I can certify that whatever changes has been made right pertaining to this area, I can execute those test cases and I can get the result. I can get to know how many test cases pass, fail, or skip like that. Groups are specified in TestNG.xml file and can be used either under the or tag. Group specified in the tags apply to all the tags underneath. So let's first create a class, add some test cases, and add some group. After that, in the TestNG.xml file, we will do the settings. We will add the settings, and then we will try to filter out the execution based on the grouping. So I'll go to Eclipse first. So this is my Eclipse. So I can create a new TestNG class. So this is the package created new, and you can click on the select others, and here you can select TestNG class. If you it is not coming, you can type here TestNG, automatically TestNG folder will be there, and TestNG class you can select it. You can click on next. You can give some name called TestNG session 9, and you can click on finished. After that, you can remove this part, or you can update it, not be a problem. Update the method name, and here I will simply copy couple of test cases based on the group. So here you could see already this is the method 1, right? This is the output, and I have adding some assertion so the test case can be passed. This is the method 2, this is the method 3, this is the method 4. So I have designed 4 test cases like and 4 method, and where I have also added some assertion for one test cases. So I need to add that assert class, import the assert class from the org.testng file. And here you could see now I am trying to add the grouping part. So after add the rate test annotation, you can add the group. So that is already mentioned here how to add the group, right? Add the rate test, first bracket groups equal to second bracket, and you can add n number of groups to a particular test cases. Group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, like that. So group can be primarily based on the testing type and based on the application. So here method 1 is belonging to test application 1 and regression test. Method 2 is belonging to test application 2 and smoke test. Method 3 is belonging to integration test, test application 3 and regression test. You can change it based on a requirement. Method 4 is belonging to unit test and mock test. In case I want to add one more group, I can give comma and I can add suppose the application 3 like that, right? So that is the way one test cases you can categorize with multiple groups. So that is the only one time activity you need to do with comma separated. So that part is done. I can create n number of test cases, and every test cases in the at the rate test annotation, I can add this different kind of group based on my requirement. You can change the different kind of requirement, e-commerce application, other applications. Suppose in case you are dealing with Facebook, you can dealing with Google, you can dealing with Reddit, you can give the application name also. And you can give the testing type, different testing type, whatever available, sanity, smoke, regression, end-to-end, integration, all this stuff. Then you need to go to the testng.xml file. So here this is the syntax, right? Suit name, test name, under the classes tag, you need to give the class. So I can remove that one class and I need to run only the relevant classes. So these classes is belonging to which packages I need to know. This is going to cover in the TestNG packages, and this is the class name. So under the classes tag, you need to give the package name. So it is common here. There is no change, TestNG packages, and I need to change the class name. That is my first task. So after my new class is created, TestNG class is created, I will create n number of test cases and method, and under the test case at the rate test annotation, I will cover them with multiple grouping. Then I will go to the TestNG XML file, shoot test classes tag. I will add a class tag, and in the class name, I will give the package name dot class name whatever I want to execute. Now next thing, groups you need to add it. That syntax. Groups run, include name, run and groups. So that part you need to add it where after the test. Okay. So after the test name you need to add it. So say, suppose say test name you can also change it, right? Test name, whatever test name is there, right? You can also change it. Shoot name you can change it. So after the test I need to add this group. So I will go here and I will copy this part simply, this syntax, and I will paste it under the test name, test tag. Now group part I need to change it. So what group I want to run? Say I want to run only the regression test. So I need to copy it and I need to paste it here. That is called include. Means I want to execute everything wherever regression tag or group is satisfying. So now if you just go to the class, you could see how many test cases starting with regression tag. It is method 1 and method 3, because these are the group test regression test is available. So method 2 there is no such regression test, and method 4 also there is no such regression test. So now if I just save my code and if I want to execute it, so based on the regression test group, out of 4 test cases 2 will be executed. because first it will filter out the test cases and then it will try to execute based on the group. So you could see test method 1 and 3 executed. Why? Because I am trying to execute the test cases based on my group. Include group means regression test. So wherever regression test exact what is present, those group will be executed. Now it is executed to only method 1 and method 3 because those are condition is satisfying in the method 1 and 3 only. That regression test. Now say your condition might be you are having 100 test cases and maybe you are having like 20 test cases where regression test is there, but your objective is to execute all the test cases wherever regression test is not present. So how can you do that? So in simple way you can use include tag and wherever regression test is there you can execute them. But in case your objective is to execute everything wherever regression test is not present, so what you can do, you can instead of include you can change it to exclude. Means wherever regression test word is present, those particular tests will not be executed and remaining all the test case will be executed. That is the simple logic, right, for executing all the test cases wherever regression test tag is not present. Now you could see method 2 and method 4 is executed. Now say I am removing one more thing. So now what my criteria? It should execute 3 test cases because only test method 1 regression test is tag or group is available and remaining one there is no such regression test, right, group is available. So now if you want to run it, so excluding one test case all 3 will be executed. That is the way. It is one time activity to set up the group and after that you can try your execution or filter out your execution based on the group setting. So that is the way you can include and exclude. Next question will come. Suppose say I want to run something wherever test app word is present. Right? It does not matter whether test application 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. So I want to execute everything wherever my test app word is there. So how can you do that? So for that, suppose say I want to run everything test application 1, 2, right, 3, 4 whatever is there. So you cannot type everything like one by one, 1 2 3 4 5 like that. So instead of that, wherever that word is present, right, I want to execute them. So what, how can you do it? You need to give include. Here you can give that word, then you can use dot and asterisk. Means after that word whatever is present available it will execute everything. So it will first check that that particular first word is correct or not. After that whatever remaining word it will try to execute, mean dot and star. So that is the way. In case you want to execute something with some starting word you can do that way. So now my 4 test cases got executed because for 4 test cases test app that word is constant, right? So that is the way. In case you don't want to execute something, you can just simply give exclude. So here no test case will be executed because all are starting with test tab. So here it will be 0 test case execution, right? Now if you want to change something, if you want to remove something for that one, so now it will filter out only one test case to execute. So that is the way, right? Group will help you to filter out the execution based on a requirement or based on a criteria, and then automatically it will execute it so that with very very minimal time, right? You can do your execution. So that is the concept of grouping. So if user want to run the multiple group in same time, they need to add another include tag inside the run tag for each groups. User can mention the group name which they don't want to run by using exclude tag. In case user want to run all groups with some matching keyword, you same can be possible using the regular expression that word and then dot start. So that is the way, right? In case you are having like 1000 test cases, you can categorize all the test cases with some group and then next time based on your requirement you can update the testng.xml file and you can run your execution, right, suit based on your requirement. So that is the way you can include and exclude group during execution in TestNG framework. Next topics will how to execute only failed test cases in TestNG without listener class. So with listener class I will cover in today's session only. But before that you need to learn what is listener all about. So here we will see without listener class also we can execute only failed test cases. Why it is required? Suppose say in case you are having 1000 test cases and you are running them. So 1000 test cases might take like 2 or 3 days time to run everything. After running 1000 test cases, you found that 50 test cases got fail. But this 50 failure does not mean that those are real failure or some defect is there. Sometimes test cases may fail because some element locator change, some frame came inside, or sometimes there is an internet connectivity issue, internet connectivity lost, all this stuff. Out of 50, couple of them might be false failure. So I need to repeat them couple of number of times so that whatever real failure will be there or real challenges will be there or real issue will be there, those I can analyze it and log a defect. But wherever false failure, right, something got changed, right, internet connectivity disrupted, right, or maybe your system was not working that time, so I can run them again. So this is possible in two way. One is without listener, one is with listener. So most of the time, test cases may fail while executing automated test script. The reason may be anything like network issue, element not found, timeout exception, system issue or the browser issue. But user need to execute the test script again. So instead of running all the test script again and again, user can execute only the failed test case again for any number of time and check for the updated result. So how can you deal right with that approach? So I'll go to my test case. I'll comment out everything. Let's try to create some test cases. So what I will do, I will copy it. So say this is my 4 test cases. Okay. So this is my 4 test cases. So this test case will pass accessories matching. This test case will fail. This test case again it will be skipped because your dependent test cases is getting failed. So it will be skipped and this test case will be fail. So out of 4 test case, one test case will pass, one test case will fail, and two test case will fail, and one test case will skip. Right? You can run it with the help of TestNG.xml file. So what will be the output? One test case pass, two fail, and one skip. But here it is very less code, so it is taking very minimal time. But in case you are having 1000 test cases, if you want to run them again and again and again with the help of TestNG.xml file, so you could see it will run all the test cases again and again and it will give you the right result that how many number of test cases passed, fail or skipped. But my intention is to execute only the failed test cases instead of running other test cases. So I don't want to rerun the past test case again. I don't want to waste my time because those already executed and I already having got some evidences as well. So I don't want to run them and I don't want to waste my time. But in case you are running from here, right, it will run again all the test case and it will be right and again a lot of time will be required for running all the test case. Again sometime whatever passed in the last run that might also be failed because of some other issue. So my intention is to not to run the past test case again and again. Only I will focus on the failed test case iteration. So how can you do it without listener? So just simply refresh the project. Now you could get the folder test output, right? Here you would be getting some XML testng failed .xml file. So if you open that, you could see wherever your failure or scripting is there, those are coming. So past test case, those not coming. So now if you could see, only 3 test cases getting coming, not 4. Why? Because my 2 test cases, sorry, one test case already executed and passed, but remaining test case it is trying to execute. Now go to my code, your code, and now let's fix one thing. So now what will happen? It will again rerun the failed test cases, only failure one, not the past one. And we could see now out of 3, 2 passed and failed one. Now if you refresh it, you could see now only one failure is there. So whatever is passed, it is getting automatically removed from here. So you can run it again only for the failure. So you no need to concentrate on the past one. That you can now you could see only one test case was there and it is got executed, which is failed. So whatever three test case already passed, that will not be considered. So that is the way, with the help of testng-fail.xml file, you can only rerun the failed test cases instead of running all the test cases again and again. That is the way definitely you can save the time and you can give more focus on rerunning your failed test case. So in case there is a fault failure like timeout issue, network issue, some other issue, you can fix them and you can rerun them. And after that, in case they are genuinely failed, you can log a defect in the defect management tool. So that is the way you can execute only failed test cases in TestNG without listener class. With listener class, I will cover it later point of time in today's session only. The next one is TestNG parameterization. So in the last session, I told that two important concept of TestNG is TestNG parameterization and TestNG data-driven testing. So what is the difference between two terms? So data-driven testing means you can vary the test data and you can execute the same test case again and again and again with multiple combination of data. Wherever your parameterization concept means with same set of data you can try to execute multiple test cases. So that is the concept of parameterization. So one of the important feature of TestNG is parameterization. This features allows user to pass parameter to test as argument. This is supported by using TestNG at the rate parameter annotation. The at the rate parameter annotation can be used for any of the tests at the rate before, after, and at the rate test annotated method as well. It can be used to initialize variable and use them in a class test or maybe for the whole test execution. In case user need to pass some simple values such as string type to the test method at runtime, user can use this approach of sending parameter values through the testng.xml configuration file. User have to use at the rate parameter annotation for passing parameter value to the test method. Now let's go to the Eclipse one and let's see how you can use the parameterization concept. So let's close it. Now let's go to the test cases. Let's comment out all the existing one. Let's try to create couple of test cases. Okay. So what I will do, I will create at the rate test, say public void, say add, right? Say integer a, comma integer b. So so a plus b. So that is my one method. So again, I can create two method like add subtraction. I can provide two parameter and it will be minus b. Again, I can go with say multiply. Here it will be a star b. So that is the way I have created three method. But my two parameter is fixed, right? So in case you want to add the parameterization, what you need to do, either at the rate test or after at the rate test, you need to use at the rate parameters. Okay, parameters, and you need to give first bracket and you need to give second bracket, and here this one. For this one, you can use say param1 and you can give end with double quote here. You can give comma param2. Okay, and you can end with double quote and end with first bracket. Now you could see some error message is coming, so you need to import it. Parameter from the org.testng.annotation. Please be remembered this one. Now error message gone. Similarly, those two parameter I can either give it before test or after test. That does not be any problem. Same meaning. Okay. So means this integer I tagging to param say B tagging to params B. Similarly for the other one also A tagging to params 1. Okay, after test or before test does not matter. Same way it will be. And similar way it is mapping with that one. So actually it is creating a param 1 star param B. Param 1 minus param B, param 1 plus param 2. Okay. Now I need to give the value in the testng.xml file, whatever param 1 and param 2 I am trying to execute with the help of testng.xml file. So I can remove this part for now. I can go to my code, and here you could see how you need to use it. The name values in the testng.xml file match with the parameter used in on the parameter at that parameter annotation. So I will copy it. Whatever parameter I can use, I can give it after the test name. So here, what is the parameter 1 name? So what is the parameter 1 value is param 1. So I can copy it and I can change it accordingly. And value, its numeric value I can give it, say I can give it say 20. Similarly, way param 2, I can give it say 10. Now my parameter defined. So now parameter value was 20, param 2 value is 10. And now if I want to execute it with the help of testing.xml file, so three methods will be executed with the help of the value whatever parameter I have defined. So now you could see the first method was add. So 20 plus 10 equal to 30. Second method based on the alphabetical order is multiply. So A star B 20 star 10 equal to 200. Now third method is subtraction based on the alphabetical order. 20 minus 10 equal to 10. So three test cases got passed. Now say I want to add one more parameter. So instead of 2 addition, I want to add 3 integer c, right? And here I can use c. Not be a problem. So either c, I can create a new parameter 3, or I can also go with param 2 also, because b and c say be similar value. That might be a possible cases. Or in case you want to create one more parameter, you can also need to add param 3 and you can need to define the value here. Now in case my c integer is also mapping with param 2, then it is fine, no need to define a new parameter. So you could see now first add method will be coming giving me the result as 40. Why? Because 20 plus 10 plus 10, because param 2 I am using for mapping for b and c variable. But in case you want to create one more variable, so you can give it param 3. Now you can go to the testng XML file, and whatever is there, right, you can give it 3. Param 3, and you can change the value called 100. So now my addition function will be behaving a plus b plus 3, or param 1 plus param 2 plus param 3 value. That means 20 plus 10 plus 100 equal to 130. Similarly, other method you can create and you can add n number of parameter, but whatever parameter you are defining, that value you need to assign it only one time in the test.xml file, either at the class level or either at the test level. So in case you are copying the same thing and pasting it at the should level, right? Sorry, should level or the test level, so it is not having any impact. Same value it will be displayed. Okay, but questions will be coming whenever you are defining this parameter both at the test level and the class level, and value is supposed to changed. Okay, suppose the value you have changed little bit. Okay, so my question will be that what parameter value it should take, because parameter name is same at the should level and at the test level. So in that case, in case your parameter name is same but value is different, so it will consider the test level value and it will discard the should level value for this execution. In case whatever parameter is common in both the test and should level, so your should level will be ignored and your test level will be taking the present tense. You could see now is 1300. Why? 200 plus 100 plus 1000 is 1300. Now here 200 multiplied by 100 equal to 20,000. 200 minus 100 equal to 100. But it is not considering this value. So that is the way. I can also give the parameter in two times. Sometimes required two way at the should level, at the test level. But in that case, your should level, test level will take the present tense. Sometime it might be happen that one parameter you can give it at the should level and a couple of parameter you can give it the test level. So until and unless two parameter is common in both should level and test level, there is no problem at all. But in case two parameter name is common in should level and test level, your should level will be discarded and your test level value will be taken into the consideration. So that is the way you can do the parameterization testing with the help of the TestNG. So I will take a pause for these three topic, guys, in case you are having anything. Hmm. 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 You can do it. I already told, right? But you need to remove that one and you need to convert it the annotation. Okay, because TestNG will not consider the public static void main method. You need to yeah, replace with the at the rate test only. Then it is fine. It will work as fine. Yes, yes, right, right. You can use it. Not be a problem. No, 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 no. It does not matter. You can create the Java class I already showed last time, right? But you need to use that at the rate test annotation. So public static void method means it will not consider, test engine will not consider those part. So that is the only difference. Yes. Uh-huh. So data provider, I am covering it only, the data provider, right? Sorry, parameters. Data provider, I will cover it. Okay, in the next topics. Okay. So any other questions from that X group or maybe the executing only the failed test case without listener or the parameterization part? So just do couple of more practice and that will help you because those concept is really required most of the time, majority of the time whenever you are dealing with the framework. Okay. So I have tried to cover at least 90% to 95% concept from the testing in these two sessions. Okay. Because whatever framework you'll be using, either you'll be using TestNG or you will be using JUnit. For JUnit only it can be used for primarily for the BDD. But remaining framework concept like it can be data driven keyword and hybrid will be using mostly TestNG. Next part is data provider. As ha ha ha. Yeah, but because JNG is pretty much good for BDD framework, right? But yeah, annotation will mostly same. I already told you the difference, right, in the first session. So only couple of syntax will be added in TestNG, but primarily it will behave in the same way. Okay, assert class and other, right, before, after, at the test, it will be similar only for both TestNG and JUnit. Yeah, yeah, Karate primarily used for API testing. Nowadays, people can use for the UI testing as well, but primarily Karate is for the API testing. So, in case you want to do with the API testing, like manual tool is there called Postman. With the Postman also, you can do some automated testing. So, there is a concept called Chai Assertion Library, right? With the help of that you can add so many validation point, and there is a concept called newman, right? You can get some sort of report and you can do some automated testing using the postman. But in case you want to do some automated API testing, so either you can use the Karate framework or you can go with the rest assured framework. So rest assured framework, right? Again you can use the maven, again you can use the testng, again you can use that java. So once you are really good with the Java and TestNG and Maven part, it will help you, right, to learn that REST asset framework very easily. Okay. Yeah, REST asset also support Python also, that not be a problem because Selenium also support Python, Selenium also support Ruby, Selenium support also C has. That is different kind of language. So concept will suppose change. Suppose in case you want to deal with the C has, right? So here you are using TestNG, you are using either IntelliJ or Eclipse. Here for that C has part, you will be using that IDE or integrated data environment called Visual Studio, right? So BDD will be still concept will be same, but it will be considered as a spec flow in CHAS. But herever you are using TestNG, so in case you are dealing with CHAS, so it will be N unit framework or X unit framework. So that is the way it will be having some sort of little differences. But overall concept will be pretty much similar, but syntax and other stuff implementation way it will be different. Okay. So once you are familiar with any of the technology, any of the tools, any of the programming language, so other part you can learn very is quickly or easily with very minimal time span, even by yourself also without any proper support or guidance. So that is the reason people say that I want to work with CS. But CS, this is the concept to be different, right? I already told. Selenium will be still same, but whenever you will be dealing the Selenium with CS, so your kind of thing will be little bit changed. So okay, so here it will be using diver.find elements, where it will be using different term, but concept will be same. Instead of testing, you will be using X unit or right N unit. Instead of BDD framework, you will be using I already told, right? Spec flow, but concept is still same. BDD like BDD only. It will vary based on the tools and based on the programming language only. And your ID also will be changed. But you no need to worry. But yeah, because ID it will take to learn, right? It will may take maybe couple of days only. But your all the other stuff will be pretty much similar, but I'm not saying that 100% similar approach. But yeah, because every tool is having their own way, right? So you need to just learn that one, right? So couple of hours time will be required to learn other any ID, any tools, anything. But yeah, concept will be similar, same. But Python and CS is more easier than the Java. So that is the reason I always used to told, right? I mean, once you learn Java, the other any similar language like CS or Python, you can learn very easily. Okay. So next one is TestNG data provider. So I already told parameterization means you want to run multiple test case with same set of data. But data provider means you want to run a single test case n number of time with different variety of the data. Alright. So what I will learn here. So in most of the situation, user need to run scenario with different set of data. During that time, it is not possible to write test cases for each set of data. Instead of that, user can use data provider, which provides data in the form of array of object. So to run at the rate test multiple time with different input, user can use data provider option available in TestNG. A data provider annotate method always returns an array of object. It can be any dimensional. Number of row means how many number of iteration you want to do. Number of columns mean how many number of field you want to interact. So that is the difference. So now let's see a simple test cases. So I'll create a very simple test cases. Say what I want to automate here. So I want to open the Facebook page and I want to enter some multiple value in the email ID password field, right? So public void say enter Facebook login ID and password. That is the method name I'm creating. Okay, and here I can use that test annotation. Okay, and here I can write down my code. Say I will go to my last code. Okay, then driver dot get. What is my URL? So that is the way you need to develop step by step. Then I want to add some value in the email ID and password field. So what I need to do, I need to press F12 button here. I'll inspect the element, write email ID equal to email. So driver dot find element by dot ID email, then dot send keys. Say username 1, right? And I need to end with colon. In the real time. Okay, it is, what is the ID? ID is PASS. That is the way I can identify. I can something called say password 1. It will execute. It will give you the email ID password, right? All this stuff. So you need to, in case you require for 10 times, 20 times, 15 times, you need to copy the code again and again and again, right? I need to run it again and again. But that is not recommended in the real time. Why? Because same test case I can run with different variety of the data. So here data provider concept will come, which will help you to execute your code with different variety of the data. So what I will do, I will use data provider, and I will create something called method called public. I can give some method name, say get user ID and password. Okay. You don't need to worry about all this stuff. I will let you know. Okay. So I'll create an object. So I need to import the data provider first. Try to understand step by step. So should be always object, right? I already mentioned it should be always object form. Okay. It can be in any dimension, one dimension, two dimension, like that. Number of rows will be your number of iteration, and number of columns will be number of field. So here I want to interact with two field. So my column will be two. But in case I want to go for four combination, username one, two combination three, two, two, three, three, four, four. So I can give the row count as four, right? So what I can do, I can create something called variable called data equal to new object. I can give that multi-dimensional array, whatever you have learned. So I can give the number of rows and three, and column, because column is the field. Number of field I want to interact is two, right? Username and password. So return type will be object again. Here, object, one dimension, and two dimension. So that is the way it will be done. Now I know want to define the row one value, means iteration one for two field. So what is my variable? Data is my variable, and I can give here the two dimension equal to. So for first row, it will be row will be always 0, and column will be 0 and 1. So that is the concept. So I can change it username, give it username. So that is my first iteration. Similar way, it is iteration 1, right? Similar way, iteration 1 second field is, sorry, it will be 0, 0, 0. Second field, it will be iteration 0 and column 1. So password 1, right? That is the way I can do it. Now in case I want to go for second iteration, because my row is 3, means 0, 1 and 2 it can go. Column is 2, so column can go 0 and 1. So iteration 2, iteration 3. So that is the way I have given row as 3, column is 2, means only two field I want to interact, username and password. So it will be 1, it will be 1. Column will be same. So username 2 and password 2. Second variation. Iteration 3, it will be 2, because n minus 1 row is the number of iteration. So username 3 and password 3. So that is the way I can define. It is only one time activity. And next session number 10, you could see the same thing we will try to import from the Excel sheet. Okay, today you are learning it here. Tomorrow, same code I'll automate with the help of the Excel sheet. Slowly, you will be learning it. And now, my what is return type? Return type is data variable, right? So it will return the data. Then that data I will add it in my requirement, right? Return data. Now, what is data? That is the way you need to write the method. Data is nothing but the object. So that is the way you need to copy it, and you need to give the return type in that method whatever you have designed. Now you could see the message gone. So that is the way whenever you are creating any kind of method, you need to write in a similar way. In case it's not returning, you don't need to give a return type. It will be public void method name. But in case returning something, that return type you should give it in that way after public. Now that part is done. My data provider concept I have defined, and I want to vary for three number of iteration with two field. One is username field, one is password field. So my 3 is my row number, so it will go 0, 1 and 2, and 2 is my column number, it will go 0 and 1. So 0 column means username field, column number 1 means password field. Now I will try to implement the same thing in my test cases. So here I will try to implement it. So here after the @test, you need to give data provider. Data will be lowercase, then P will be caps, Provider. Provider equal to sign, and you need to give the exact method name here within the double quote. Whatever method name you have defined, that you need to give within the double quote. Data provider will be fixed, and that will be your method name. Okay, that is the second task. Now, I don't want to hard code my username and password field, right? Instead of that, what I want to do, I want to take the value from here for every iteration. So I will remove that hard coded value first, and I will pass to argument. Similar way, I will pass to argument here, where here. So string uname, comma, string password, right? And then uname, I want to pass it here, because that is already defined as a string, so I don't need to give any double quote, and that password I want to map it with here. That is the way, simply step by step you can define. Now my everything is done, setup is done, and you can quit the driver every time if you want to quit it. That not be a problem, you can easily see. Okay, now you can go to the testng.xml file and you can run it. No need to give any parameter, that's fine, no worry. So you'll open the Facebook page. It will go for first iteration, username 1, password 1. It is again opening the Facebook page, going for username to password 2. It is opening for again Facebook page because we are not quitting the browser. Password 3, username 3. If you click here, you could see that username 3 is coming, password 3 is coming. That is the way I have defined it. Okay, but next question will be that, because today I want to run it for 3 times, 3 times, and tomorrow I want to run it for 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, or maybe a couple of field I want to add it. So you no need to change your code here, right? Your code will be constant until you are having adding any new field. But tomorrow, in case I want to run for 4 iterations instead of 3 iteration, 4 iteration, so my field will be still same too. So now I want to add one more here, data combination. So that is the way, I will not touch my code. I'll simply add one more data combination. That is the beauty. So it will be 4. So now it will run for 4 times. Iteration 4 it will be. If you want to run for 5 times, you can add one more row. That part will implement in next session with the help of the Excel data driven testing, instead of hard coding this part. Because Excel we can manage it very easily instead of here writing all this stuff. Okay, so that similar code we can implement it with the help of Excel in next class. So now I did not touch my code, simply I am trying to change my data provider. Instead of 3 combination, I can go for 4, 5, 6, 10, like that. So it will run for 10 times, like that is the way. and you can change the value whatever requirement. Instead of 3, you can give it 3 3, like. So that is the way it is running for 4 times. That is the beauty. Tomorrow in case you want to run for 5 times, simply you need to change the row number, only 5 here. You don't need to change your code, and you can add one more row. Simple thing. Here you need to change it also, because n minus 1, so iteration 5. So now it will run for 5 times. So you no need to touch your code. So with the help of the data provider approach or data driven testing approach, with the help of TestNG, right, your same test case will be repeatedly executed based on the number of iteration you want mentioning, based on the number of field you want to interact. Like that is the way. Okay, it's executed for 5 times. So that is the way data driven testing will help you to execute your test cases n number of times, right? But same test case with different variety of the data. So that is the concept of data provider. And I, in the last topics I covered what is that parameterization. So parameterization is nothing but multiple test case you want to run with same variety, same set of data. Whereas data provider is nothing. Once your test case is finalized, you can change the variety of the data from the data provider part. Instead of two set, you can run for 3, 4, 5, 6 set like that, and then you can change the thing in the data provider part. You no need to update your code anywhere, and it will execute same test case repeatedly n number of time based on your setting you want to iterate it. So that is the way, right? Data provider will help you to execute similar test case with different variety of the data multiple times. Any questions? Yeah. This part might, yeah, go ahead. Hmm. 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 Yes. Yeah, yeah, because everything is like it n minus 1, right? 0 to n minus 1. Suppose say m is your column, row, and n is m and n is your column. So a row will be go from 0 to m minus 1, and column will also go to 0 to n minus 1. That is the concept of matrix, right? Or the object matrix. M cross n matrix, so it will go. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I will cover it in the Excel part, right? But that is the concept, right? And same code we will try to implement it with the help of the Excel. So that part we will remove it, and we will just simply same thing we will implement it with the help of Excel. Because in the real time Excel will be used, right? In case you are having n number of data, right? You cannot handle like that way. So that part will be covered it with the help of Excel. But hmm, hmm. Yes, yes, same. Yes, yes, only difference. That is only difference. You no need to call public static void main. You can create the Java class also, that not be a problem. Instead of public static, so whenever you are creating the Java class, you no need to select it, but you need to import the test into your class, so to your project, and you just use add their test annotation. That's all. And you can create a test XML file. What is the benefit of test XML file? Like grouping part, data provider, sorry, parameterization part. Without test.xml file, you cannot run them, or parallel testing. But generic wise here it is not required. Testing XML file is not required. I can run it from here also. But testing.xml file will give you some additional advantage to run couple of specific instance. And in case, yes, in case you want to run that multiple packages, multiple caches at the same time, you can also do it, right, without the testing.xml class. Okay. A similar way, if you it is possible, you can run it in the class. That not be a problem at all without the testing. Yes. So only TestNG XML will help you. I will cover it in the last session. No worry. So I did not run it from the like test.xml file. I've run it on the class level. It will still work. But couple of stuff, right? The parallel testing, right? Your grouping part, right? Your parameter part, you cannot do it without the test.xml file, because test.xml file is having this feature integrated only. Listener part also similarly. Next one, very important, is called listener. Okay, so what does it mean by listener? Forget about Selenium. Listeners, right? Means they are listening first and then they are acting accordingly. So sometimes user wish to modify the behavior of TestNG during skip development, and this can be done by interfaces. So you already learned the interface. What is the concept of interface? Can anyone tell me? So whatever you have learned in Java, we will implementing it here, right? Slowly. Can anyone tell me what is the concept of interface? Yes. Yeah, these are abstract classes, means 100% abstract in nature. So you will be only having the methods not implemented. But in as and when you are implementing those interfaces into the classes, so you need to implement all unimplemented method and you need to give the body. That is the concept. So similarly here, listeners also interface. Okay, so this listener which help the user to do so are known as listener. As the name suggests, listener primary task is to listen to an event defined and react according to that. The main purpose for which listener are used by the programmers is to create logs and create the custom report according to the specific scenario defined. A TestNG listener always extend org.testng.it I test ng listener, and test ng provides us lot of listeners. I execution listener, I annotation transformer, I should listener, I test listener, I configuration listener, I method interceptor, I invoked method listener, I hookable, and I reporter. But this primary two listener I used to use, we generally used to use is I should listener and I test listener. So each listener has specific method that are overridden. Most popular listeners are the method which are overridden by them are mentioned below. So iTest listener is one of the most commonly used listener in Selenium WebDriver. The programmer simply needs to implement the iTest listener interface and override all the method of his interface in order to use it. It makes the call before and after every test present in the suite. There are several methods on start and on finish. That will be your class level activity, not the method level. As and when your class will be invoked, it will be executed on start, and once it is finished, on finish will be executed. But remaining one, on test start, on test failure, on test skip, on test success, those will be your method level. But on test start will be executing every time whenever your method is getting start or the test case is getting start. But on test failure will be executed only whenever there is a failed test cases. That is the way, right? Based on the nature of execution, the relevant method will be called. In case some test case is getting passed, then your on test success will be called. In case some test case is getting skipped, on test skipped will be skipped. And I should listen only having two. One is one start, one finish. So it is very less, but primarily we'll be using I test listener. Now let's see how we can use that I test listener. So let's go to your code, comment it out. Let's try to copy the code here. Again, same way. Okay. So what is happening? One test case is fast, right? That is fail. That will be skipped because of this is dependent one, and that will be again fail. So you can execute it. Okay. Fast for fail all this stuff. But I want to execute specific listener. In case my pass is there, I want to simply pass them. In case my skip is there, I want to simply skip them. But in case my test case is getting fail, I want to add the screenshot, or maybe I want to add generate some log, all this stuff. So how can I do it? Here in case I am doing it, that will be fixed because that test case today it is failing, tomorrow can be passed. But in case I am hard coding it, that will be create the problem. Okay, because I want to add those elements step or log or screenshot based on the real time execution status, not anything hard coded. I want to do it. Then only option is you have to implement listener, and listener will act based on your actual execution status. So how can I implement it? So I will try to create a class, say test listener. Okay, no need to select public static void main method at all. And here I will try to implement that listener interface called itest listener. Okay, so you could see some error message coming. Generally what happen you already seen, right? Itest listener. Okay, okay, sorry, here you need to use implements keyword because this is the class and this is the interface. What happening generally, it will be giving you the options to import it. Okay, but actually what happens, as and when you are implementing some listener, automatically there will be giving some option to implement all the unimplemented method. But in TestNG some version that problem is there, it is not giving you suggestion to implement all the unimplemented. But generally whenever you are implementing any kind of interface, it should give you the suggestion or error message until you are implementing all the method. But in case some error message is not giving, then what is the option to implement all the unimplemented method in case some problem is happening? There's a workaround. Okay, so you need to select that class, right click here. Okay, then I think source, you can see there is a option called override or implement method, right? You need to select it, and automatically all the method whatever available is there in the ITS listener, it is coming. Okay, so you need to select it, everything, because you need to implement everything and need to click on OK. Now you could see all the method is coming, right? Now you can implement it. So this part I can remove it for everywhere, not required. Then whatever you want to implement it, you can just give the body accordingly. So I want to give the body like on class level start, okay, and that method level also. So these are the class level. You could see it is giving us I test context means the class level. So here what I can do, I can give some body so that whenever my class will be triggered, right, that will be executed only one time. So here I can give it, suppose say SYSO, right? I can give suppose say TestNG on start at the class level, and then I can concatenate. What I can concatenate, I can use that variable context. It is context from itext context part. Then I can get dot get name of the method. Similar way, it is on finish also will be class level. So I can give some change called on finish context name and give, because this is the variable context. Now in case at it is at the method level, right, I can change it also. Similar way I can give it something called system SYSO TestNG, give the body called test case started, and I need to give the variable name. It is coming from the itest result and get name. Similarly, in case I want to give for the other also, right, I can give on success mean whenever test case will be passed only, that will be called on success means. On test failure means whenever test case will be fail, then only it will be called. So test case fail. Whenever test case will be skipped, that will be called. And I can add somebody, right? And here whenever test cases, yes, so that is fine. Context. Timeout is also there, failure, right? On test failure, skipped, success. Okay, that is fine on test result. Now I can save it. Means I want to give execute the relevant part in the body, whatever I can give it based on my execution, real time execution. Okay. Now here I can implement that listener in two approach. One is, right, I can create a test cases. I can have n number of test case pass fail skipped. Then I can implement that, create a class where I can implement the itest listener and I can give the body. Then I can go to the test cases level and I can give at the rate listeners at the class level, okay, and then package name dot the class name dot class. I can do it. So what I can do, that is the one way. I can go to my test cases and here before the class name, so that all the method will be implemented. Here I can give it listeners bucket. What is my package name? My package name is test package dot. If you press dot, your listener class will be coming, right? That is the listener class dot class. Now I think some error message is coming, so you need to import the listener class from the org.testengine.annotation. Now let's try to execute it from the testengine.xml file. And now let's see the differences behavior. You could see there is no change in the result. One test case getting passed, two fail, and one skip. Now if you go to the output, you could see some differences. TestNG on started, TestNG test. TestNG on start, and that is the method name. Got called. It is got called because it is the class level, context level, right? It is got called at the starting of the class execution. Then now test case started because that will be executed for every method, right? That is the way I have written it. Test case started. Every time it will be started. So for every method it will be executed. TestNG test case started and the method name. And test one is passed. That is the reason that part is getting executed. TestNG test case passed. Why? Because that is only method is getting passed. So based on the past nature, automatically it will calling the relevant method, right? Success method it is called, because on test success will be called only whenever any test case is getting passed. So it is getting called. Similarly, test case start will call for every time. And now fail, you could see test 2 method is getting fail. Why? Because that is the assertion failure. So that is the reason as and when any method is getting fail, now it is calling that test on failure method. And what is the body? TestNG test case fail. And you could see now it is coming as TestNG test case fail. Then 4 is also failing. So it is calling again on failure. Test 3 is getting skipped because it is getting skipped because that test 2 is getting failed, so it is getting skipped. Now for test 3 the relevant method is getting called on test skipped, so that is the reason it is coming and test ng test skip and test 3, and at the last class level on test finish is getting called. That is the reason you are able to see the result on test finish. So that is the way, right? You don't need to worry about anything. So based on the execution status tomorrow, say I am passing one more test cases. Say I am just passing it. One more test cases. So what will be my status? My status will be 3 test cases will be passed and 1 test case will be fail, because that will be not be skipped because my this previous one is getting passed. So now let's try to save it and let's now try to run it. So there will be no skipped method at all. So on test skipped will not be called, and on test success will be called for 3 times because 3 test case was got passed here. Now you could see 3 test case passed and one failure. Which one is failed? Only method for test 4 is failed. So for test 4 only that TestNG test case fail is getting called, which is there in the listener class on failure. Now on test skip is nowhere it is getting called because there is no skip method at all. So that is getting called only one time, and remaining time you could see the past is getting called for test 1, past is getting called for test 2, and past is getting called for test 3 as well, because 3 test case got passed and 1 test case got failed. So for only for the failure part on test failure is executing. For the positive one, past one, on test success executing. In case any script is there, on test script will be executing only. So that is the way automatically based on the execution time, execution status, it is getting called. Now let's pass everything. So on test failure will not be executed at all anytime. Okay, now only 4 times on test success will be called because all my test case is fast. So that is the way, right? You can change the behavior with the help of that listener. and listener will act based on the real-time execution. Now for pass there is no failure, so you could see everywhere on test pass is getting executed. Nowhere it is failure. Test 1 pass, test 2 pass, test 3 pass, test 4 pass. So that is the way in the real time if you want to execute right based on your real time execution, because every time in your execution history your statistics might change, but based on the real time execution your listener will be invoked accordingly. That is the beauty of the test listener class. Okay, so that is the one way you can implement it. Another way is you can comment it out. Another way also, but same result only. So you need to add this step, okay, under the suit name, listeners, listener class name and listener tag. You need to do it after the suit name. So what I will do, I will copy this code after the suit name. Okay, sorry, after the suit name only, test name is also there. So I can comment out here at the class level and I can go to the testng.xml file. After the suit name, I can change it. Listener class, what is the package name? So I need to give it the package name, test package, and the listener class name, package name, and what is the listener class name? Test listener. That simple thing you need to change it. Otherwise, still same. Now, if you execute it, it will be behaving same way. No change. But that is the two unique approach for implementing the listener class. You could see for failure, no changes, passed, two passed, three passed, four passed. In case again it is failing, it will call the relevant way. Right? Now, in case you want to fail anything, let's fail it. So fail will be called one time. So based on the real time execution status, listener will be called accordingly. So what you have failed? So failure is coming for test 4, but remaining is still passed. So that is the way. In case you want to print something, you want to do some relevant actions based on execution status, you can add those relevant step in your listener class and automatically it will be executed. In case you want to generate some log and other stuff, right, you can still do it. Okay, I'll be cover a couple of stuff in the upcoming 3 framework so that you can get more and more clarity also down the line. And one more listeners is already available. I in the last thing I told, right, without listener class I also exclude, include, right, do the execution for the failed test cases. Okay, now I need to go to that, right, fail.xml file and I need to manually run it, but every time I need to manually run it. But in case I want to do some auto configuration, that in case some failure is there, for all the failed test cases I want to repeat it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, like that. Instead of opening that file, I want to automate the whole process. Suppose I am having 1000 test cases, out of which 20 test cases got failed. So those 20 test cases I want to execute 5 times. So 20 into 5 again times. So how can you do it? In the manual way, I can just need to open it and need to run it manually again and again and again. But I cannot automate it. So TestNG test method will be failed because of many reasons like uncertain behavior of the by the application, network issue. To overcome the false failure, we may want to re-execute the failed test method. When a test fails, the retry method gets called and the retry method will result in either true or false. In case user have to test method that is annotated with retry analyzer along with at the rate test. So based on the result from the retry method, at the rate test method decide whether it should try or not. If retry result in true, then at the rate test methods will try to execute the test method that time. So how can I do it? So here I have already implemented the listener class, or maybe I cannot. Let's remove those part. Okay, so that will be easy as of now. So in case I'm running it, so only the failure test case will run only, right? It is running. 3 test case pass, one is failure. But that failure test case I want to rerun it 5 times. Okay. So here if I refresh the project, you already seen. In case you want to run it, refresh the project and there is an option, right, to open that test general fail XML file and you can run it. It will run only the fail test case instead of running all the test cases. But it will run only one time. So that is the way you need to go and run it again and again and again. But I don't want to do that. I want to automate the process, whole process. So what I will do, I'll create a class again called retry class. And here I will try to implement that another interface. What is the interface name? Is called, I think, IRetryAnalyzer. IRetryAnalyzer. You don't know, you press something IRetry and press Control Spacebar. You could see that coming. Now you could see error message is coming. Why the error message is coming? You need to add unimplemented method, right? What was not coming in that last one? Actually, it should come. Okay, now it's already coming. So you no need to worry. I already had my code written. You can simply copy it. Okay, and paste it. That is common code. Okay. After that, I read to analyzer. Simply I will copy and paste it. Okay. False, false, false. One more syntax. Yeah. So you can give some initial setting, right? If you want to run from 0 to 5 minutes, that will run for 6 times. You can give it 1 and you can give it 5. So that is the way you need to configure only one time. How many number of run you want to do? Okay, 1 and 5. So if your current try greater than maximum until it is running, passing, it will try to run it. Once it is passed, then it will not run it. So that is the way. Until it is passing, it will run again and again and again from the 1 to 5. That is the code meaning. But in case your second iteration test case getting passed, it will ignore the remaining iteration, because your objective is to run the failed step or the failure part. Once it is passed, you don't need to iterate it anything. So here it will run for 5 times, 1 to 5. Now how can I implement it? Again, similar way. Whatever you want to run it, right? So you need to go to the test cases level, and here at the test, right, you need to give something. So whatever is fail or pass, you need to give it retry analyzer. You could see retry analyzer equal to retry dot class. That is the thing you need to do it. So for every test case, you can give it wherever failure is there, right? Wherever failure is not there, you don't need to give it. Now it will try to execute only in case of failure, but in case it's positive, only it will run for one time. That is the beauty of this thing. Now you can go to the TestNG XML file and you can try to run them. So wherever test case is getting failed, it will try to run. You could see now total 4 test case, but is running for 8 times. Why? Because one test case is trying to run it for 5 times, and 3 test case 3 times. Okay, so retry is 4. One time fail and remaining time is retries. But same result, that is the reason not failing. Now if you want to run for 10 times, so you can change it to 10. That's simple thing. So fail test cases, wherever it is getting failed, it will try to run for 10 times. Okay, now if you go to the test.xml file and you can run them. So only whenever test case is getting failed, it will try to execute that n number of times. Now it is 13 times. Mhm. Yes, so that is the way, right? You can give it everywhere. It does not matter whether passing or failing, right? Or maybe sometime after one run you can get to know, right? That is the test case might be problem. But in generic you can give everywhere, right? Okay. Now next part I have given everywhere, right? But my test case is getting pass. You could see. Now I want to pass it also. So it does not execute, only execute for one time. So until test case is failing, it will not try to execute it. Okay. So now it will only execute only one time because the test case got fast. You could see. Though I have given retry as 10 times, but it's still not running. Why? Because the concept of the IRetryAnalyzer is only it will affect the failed test cases. And whenever test cases fail, it will try to execute that number of times. But in case test case is passed, so it will not execute. So why it is required? I already told, right? Sometimes test cases make fail because of some false failure. Maybe suppose say you that time whenever it is trying to hit a element, that time your internet connectivity got slow, right? Okay, and you are not able to retrieve the page fully. But next time it is retrying, right? That time internet connectivity was good and you are able to get the element and your test case got passed. So though it is 10 times, second time your test case getting passed, it will simply kind of skip the remaining iteration. Suppose say in case you want to interact with some file, that time some your file was open, But after that you have closed it. So next iteration it can test case can get burst, right? Sometime your internet connectivity your power off. So there was no network. But after 3 seconds, 3 minutes, 4 minute time your power came, and that time it is if we try to execute it, it will get passed. So failure means sometimes test cases may fail as a false failure because of no deviation in the application, but because of some internal problem like kind of memory, not sufficient memory is there, right? Sometime internet connectivity is slow, sometime internet connectivity lost, sometimes I'm file one open, sometime maybe for few 30 minutes time, right? Some developer was doing something, so maybe ID got changed. After that, immediately they have fixed it. So those kind of problem, right? You can reiterate the thing for couple of number of times. Sometimes your those problem might be sorted out and your test case might fast again. But in case still not working, so definitely you need to analyze them manually, right? Why it is failing, and you need to find out the root cause, and then you need to execute it accordingly. Or maybe in case still not running, and then you need to log as a defect. Okay. Yeah. Any question, guys? Yeah, maybe I'm not saying that every project all this concept will be used, okay, but you need to learn the concept, okay. There might be some other concept you'll be using it, but this is the concept will help you to design the framework by your own way, okay. So, but yeah, in whatever is using or not, but this concept is really important, right? Otherwise, until you are knowing those concepts clearly, right, it will be very tough for you, right, to develop the framework based on your requirement. Sometimes requirement is that like you need to execute this all this stuff again and again, so you don't know, then you cannot do it. So whatever I'll be covering it, that are really important tasks. It does not matter that your project is working using or not, or but you need to learn it. You need to get the adequate knowledge on this area. Okay. Then the last important topics I'll be covering as part of testing is called parallel or distributed testing. So you already learned the concept called threading, right? Multi-threading. Okay, what is the concept of thread? Means concurrent execution, right? By default, one thread will be there in the system called default thread. Okay, I already given example. So in case you are having a packet of 100 sweets and you are the only person, so you cannot eat 100 sweets in a day. It might require 3 or 4 days to eat 100 sweets, and you can maybe be in problem, right? After eating 100 sweets, some digestion problem, other problem might happen. But in case I'm assigning 20% to eat 100 sweet, they can eat it maybe 10 minutes time, 5 like that is the way. One person can take 10, one person can take 2, like that is the way. So that is the concept of multi-threading. So the multiple processor will try to work in simultaneous way, and they will figure it out, right? So similarly here also parallel or multi-threading in software terms is defined as the ability of the software or operating system or the program to execute multiple parts or subcomponent of another program simultaneously. TestNG allow the test to run in parallel or multi-threaded mode. This means that based on the test suite configuration, different threads are started simultaneously and the test methods are executed in them. This gives the user a lot of advantage over normal execution, mainly reduction in execution time and ability to verify a multi-threaded code. Parallel test execution is vastly used by the QA industry for functional automation testing. This feature helps QA to configure their test to be executed easily in multiple browser operating systems simultaneously. Suppose in case you are using only one processor or thread, it will work one by one. Just like suppose say in case you are having 5 tasks to complete, right? You need to like say do some sanity testing. You need to do some sort of smoke to it. You need to do some functional test, integration test, and end-to-end test. So in case you are the only one person, so what you do, you will do one by one. But in case for 5 different type of testing, I am giving 5%. So one person can concentrate on the smoke, one person can integration, one for UAT, one for end-to-end like that. So 5% can work parallelly, and your work will be completed in couple of hours. But one person might take couple of days as well. So that is the way. I don't want to waste my time. I want to write distinguish the test case in different way, and I want to run them multiple way, right, based on my thread count. So that is the way you can just execute it. So TestNG provides an auto-defined XML file, which is nothing but the test.xml file where user can set the parallel attribute to method, test, or the classes level. And by using the concept of multi-threading of Java, one can set the number of thread one wants to create for parallel execution. So let's try to see how we can implement the parallel testing. So I will go to my code. I will just comment out here. Okay, I already having my code for parallel testing. I will simply copy it. So I'm having four test cases. Okay, so I'm having my four test cases. What is the error? This is Firefox browser. I need to import it Firefox browser. Yes. So what is my first test cases? My first test case is that I want to open the Facebook page and I want to add something email ID password field. I want to get the title. I want to quit the driver in the Chrome browser. Right? That is my first test case. Second test case, I want to open the Facebook page, Google page, and I want to get the title only in the Chrome browser. Sorry, this is my first test case. Second test case, I want to open the Facebook page again in the Chrome browser. I want to get the title. Third test case is I want to open the Google page and I want to get the title in the Firefox browser, right? Or using the G-code driver. Fourth test case, I want to open the Ready page and I want to maximize it. I want to get the title. Now, if I want to execute it, right, with the help of testing XML file or that class level, anything, it will what will happen? It will do execution one by one. So one test case will be executed, then the next test case will be there, then the next and next, like that is the way. So Ready is taking much time. That is fine. I can replace with some other pages because Ready page generally used to take a lot of time to load it because of lot of other part. So I can replace with other pages. Okay, that is fine. You could see other test case getting executed first. Okay, let's replace Ready with some other pages so that it will be very fast. My Eclipse got closed somehow. Yeah. So instead of maybe I can go with that again Google page, not be a problem. One is Google page in the Chrome browser, one is Google page in the Firefox browser, right? And I can try to run it. Okay. So it will run one by one. Okay. Once it is finished, then another will be there. Once other part will be there. Okay. That is the way. It will execute one by one. So you need to give more time, right? Okay. Here I have given two dot. So that is the reason it is throwing some error. Okay. But I want to execute them parallelly. So that multiple test case can be executed parallelly. So how I can do that? That is my question, right? So here, if you go to the testing XML file, right, you have given something called name called should name. After should name, you can give something called parallel. Parallel. Parallel equal to methods or test you can give it. You could see it is coming as methods, right? After that, you can give something called thread hyphen count. You can give equal to say three thread I want to use it. That's all, right? Should name you can give anything. Parallel equal to method or test and count name three. So in case method, your method will be work parallelly. In case test will be test or should it should be parallelly. Now if you want to execute, you could see your execution will done simultaneously using three threads. So three test case will be you working simultaneously. You could see three browser open simultaneously, and it will try to execute it. Once anything is done, then it will try to open the other browser. Right? You could see it's failing simultaneously. That is the concept of parallelism, right? In multiple browser. Similarly, you can do the multiple setup also in the system also, because here I am only one system. I do not have any VDI. Otherwise, you can change the configuration, right? Which system you want to do it like that way. You could see very fast your execution done. So in case you are having 100 test cases, you can use 5 thread. So if like 5 parallel way, it will try to execute, right? You could see parallelly it have executed. So that is the way, right? You actually execute do the execution parallel way. So multiple browser, multiple operating system combination. So I'll repeat it once more time. Then in case you are having any questions, I will take it forward. So grouping part I already told, right? In case you are having n number of test case, it is not recommended to execute every test case every time. You can group them, and based on the requirement, you can include or exclude group, right? And then you can do the execution from the test.xml file. Okay. In case you are having 1000 test case and some test case might be failed, right? So it is not recommended to execute again all the test case again and again. Instead of that, you want to just only execute the failed test case. So you can execute the failed test case without listener class or with listener class. In case you want to do the without listener class, you need to go to the test output folder. There is an option called TestNG -failed XML. If you open it, only wherever test case got failed, those test case will be displayed, and you can run the failed test case only instead of running all the test case. And with the help of listener class like IRetryAnalyzer, you can give the maximum number of iterations you want to run it from the failed test case, and you can run it. But in case test case is getting passed, the remaining iteration will be completely ignored or skipped. Parameter is nothing but the concept of running multiple test cases with the same set of data, whereas data type provider is nothing but executing the same set of test cases with different variety of the data. So in next topics, I will try to implement the same code from the Excel sheet data driven testing, where right we require the Apache PY jar file. Without Apache PY jar file, you cannot interact with the Excel file with the help of Selenium WebDriver. Listener is nothing but it will listen first. After that, you can change the kind of behavior of that one. So there are a lot of listeners available, but listeners will hold based on the real-time execution status, and relevant listener class will be called on test success, skip, fail, all this stuff. And parallelism is nothing but like concurrent execution. In case you are having 100 test case, you want to run them using multiple threads so that it will parallel execution will be done, but you will not able to visualize the execution. But parallel execution will be done, it will do the same way, but with the like very less time you can execute a couple of stuff. In case you want to distribute the testing in different browser, different operating system also, you can do it. So that is the way, like parallel testing, whatever concept you learn from Java multi-threading, that concept will work here. So multi-threading is nothing but concurrent execution with the help of the multiple processor. So here also similarly with the help of different multiple thread and multiple parallel type like test level or the method level or other level, right? You can do the distributed parallel testing using different browser and different operating system combination. So that's all from today's session, guys. Thank you.